But the approach.
Calling the meeting to order. We'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance and moment of silence. There were no votes taken in executive session. I'll entertain a motion to seal the executive session minutes pursuant to applicable provisions of Rhode Island General Laws, Section 42-46-4 and 5. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All that say aye?
Aye.
Aye. Next item, please.
Student Liaisons, Ty Messier, East Providence High School.
Good evening, school committee members, Superintendent Ferrand, Assistant Superintendent Ramsey, and Ms. Corsi. It's nice to see you all today. We had our talent show last Thursday. It was a spectacular show where we got to see our own students show off their skills and their talents. We would like to congratulate all participants for giving us a great show. We will be holding our parent-teacher conferences on Wednesday and Thursday, and there will be an early release for the students at 10:30 on Thursday. Our Tri-M Music Honor Society induction ceremony will be on the 19th at 6 p.m., and the National Honor Society induction ceremony will be at the 21st at 6 p.m. The class of 2025 is holding their annual No Shave November fundraiser this month. We have asked staff members at East Providence High School to not shave the entire month of November, and at the end of the month, there will be a raffle to see which student decides how their staff member will design their facial hair. It sounds weird, but it always has a great turnout, and we're excited to see our students' creativity run wild. And our third annual Townie Bazaar will be on the 23rd. There will be many vendors varying from local communities to our own sports and clubs. It's always an amazing time and a great start to the holiday season, and we hope to see some of you there. Now for our sports, our football team has made it to the second round of playoffs after beating Lincoln 19-6 in our first home playoff game in over 10 years. This Friday, we head over to South Kingston to see who makes it to the Super Bowl, and we will also be holding our annual Thanksgiving game on the 28th at Townie Stadium. The girls' volleyball team sadly lost their semifinals match against Portsmouth, losing in the fifth set 15-13. They finished their season 14-5. The boys' soccer team ended their season 2-15 with one tie. The girls' soccer team ended their season 7-6 with 5 ties. And the girls' tennis team finished their season 10-6. Our esports team beat the state champs and are in the semifinals for a practice round of playoffs, and they're starting their main playoffs in the winter. And we would like to congratulate all of our athletes for having such an amazing season. And for you guys today, does anyone have any questions? All right, thank you.
Next item.
Consent agenda.
I'll entertain any questions or comments regarding the consent agenda. Not, I'll entertain a motion to approve. Is there a second? Let's say aye. Aye. Are there any nays? Approved. Next item, please.
PTO, PTA, EPLAC reports.
Sorry, I'm gonna give the EPLAC report for she had to go home. I'm just gonna start with the next meeting is November 26th at 6 p.m. in the library at Kent Heights School. Also, the EPLAC will have a table at the Townie Bazaar on Saturday the 23rd from 11 to 3. There will be candy there. Miss Principal Rubello will be making sure of that. We had at our last meeting a workshop on developmental language disorders and dyslexia, which was excellent. And the speaker was excellent, and I cannot remember her name. No? Anybody? Oh, okay. Well, I'll get that information for you because she actually has a free one this week that she's doing. Hennessy, and then we have something good. This was a something good that we shared. Number one, East Providence High School is one of the 3 schools in the state that is a Special Olympics. Did we already have a ceremony on that? Do we know when that will be? No. It's in the spring. Okay, Hennessy Elementary School has implemented a buddy program. So they have children with IEPs and peer models. They have a social educational experience. So they're working together. And then Hennessy is partnering with the Special Olympics to create a unified basketball team as well. And the Special Olympics high school students, first and second place in the cornhole tournament that happened last Saturday or Sunday. And Ben, if you were watching, I think he came in second. He did not come in first, I don't believe. But Mr. Studley came in first. And Mrs. Studley came in second, if anybody needs to know. That is all I have for EPLAC. Do you want me to talk about PTA?
I was going to say, would you? feel free to share?
PTA stuff. So if you haven't ordered already, the high school has Moving Dough today. So go home and order pizza from Moving Dough. If you're on this side of Riverside, you call the local. If you're on that side of Riverside, you call the Barrington Moving Dough. Hold on, I can do all of them all at once. Riverside, you can come to Riverside PTA has our weekly Saturday raffle. That will be this Saturday to benefit Riverside Middle School PTSA, and that is at Contenders. And you can come anytime after 12. The raffle starts at 2:30. Anybody else want to help me with anything? Kent Heights has Coffee on the Curb this Friday at 8:30 and has their Harvest Rodeo Friday night. And that's all I can quickly pick up off of here. So that is it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next item, please.
Superintendent's report, Dr. Friend.
Have facilities update. Thank you.
Can you hear me? There we go. Good evening. Starting here at the high school, HSI completed the wall covering work on October 8th. All the punch list items have been completed to our standards, and the closeout invoice should be coming in for payment. Cape and Island track has responded to my warranty claim. They had determined that they only applied the top coating surface of the track, and the base layer underneath is what is causing the cracking issue. So I am looking deeper into the preparation done by the contractor responsible for laying the surface of the track. The expansion and contraction of the base layer is what is causing the separation between the track edge and the catch basins. To repair the top coat layer will only result in further cracking over time. I'll be working further into this issue to find a resolution. The plumbing covers that we have ordered have arrived on Monday, October 21st, and our plumbers are actively installing them per our priority areas to help combat issues we are facing within the bathrooms pertaining to vandalism. At Myron Francis, the installation of the 2 new boilers was completed by Next Gen Mechanical on October 10th. Everything has been tested and is running for the heating season. Over at Martin Middle School, concrete pours have been completed on slab on grade and slab on decks. The fireproofing is being sprayed daily. The metal clips are being installed around the exterior of the building to accept the exterior walls, and layout of steel studs has begun on each floor. Roofing has also begun and will throughout November. Setting of the HVAC units will follow the roof work in December. Over at Riverside Middle School, the punch list items are being addressed by Collins Constructions in the Media Center and Science Rooms. Closeout of the project will follow with Peregrine and AI3. Final punch list walkthrough was completed on Thursday, October 17th with Lockheed for the window replacement project. They have since taken care of one sash gasket issue, and O'Neill Electric is finishing up the remaining exterior lights. They will be closing out the project with the district, Jensen Hughes, and Studio Jade once these items are completed. Replacement of the old sewer lines that were causing major backup issues have been dug out and replaced with all new PVC lines. Trees that caused root issues with the old original piping have been removed to combat any issues going forward. This work was completed over the weekend of Columbus Day to ensure no future problems around the area of the new freezer unit and kitchen drainage. Concrete slab work was completed by Duart Corporation on October 28th. The freezer unit was installed on November 6th, 7th, and 8th, with electrical work, roof tie-in, and building masonry and HVAC to follow starting on November 12th. I'm looking to get a more exact date on the finish timeline for the project this week. Over at Waddington, some of the warranty issues that have come up from this summer's construction project have been addressed by Shawmut Construction. Prep and exploratory work has begun by Shawmut and subcontractors to look at the next phases for this coming summer with electrical, plumbing, and HVAC systems. And on to Silver Spring. The new dishwasher that was purchased is ready for installation. We'll be plumbing and running a new electrical line into the kitchen. A new run of electric is required due to the removal from the past of what we had previously. And we were hoping to have it fully installed and ready to use by the end of the month. The Oro and Silver Spring window projects, Lockheed completed the repairs to both schools on November 1st, and we will be reviewing the final product and punch list accordingly. And some other district notes, we have installed convex mirrors throughout Waddington, White Neck, Silver Spring, Kent Heights that were supplied through a safety enhancement grant from the trust that we had received to help with visibility throughout the hallways and rounding corner areas. I will be applying for another grant this year to hopefully finish the rest of the district buildings. Prices for a new roof replacement at Oldham Pre-K have started to come back, and we'll be looking to address this in the near future as part of our district capital project list. Initial cost quotes have come in between $537,000 and $800,000 for full rip and replacement, and we also received a quote for silicone coating of the roof for $210,000. And that's all I have. Any questions?
Questions or comments?
Can we just-
Can't hear you, that's why.
Sandy, I put the request in for the punch list. Can somebody explain to me why I haven't got the punch list in the last 3 months? for any of the projects that we're closing out, Danny just said the window projects, and why haven't I got a copy of these punch lists?
We had them sent over. Peregrine sent them over. Did not. Peregrine had sent them over to us. Did we not? I have it. I can send it out to you. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, Danny. In
Yeah.
other words, I would like the punch list, in other words, before, because you just said that, these people are gonna be submitting bills.
Yep.
I have the legal right to look at these projects.
Yeah, we
For
can
some
get that to you.
reason, I, for the last 3 months, I've been asking for a punch list so I can go look at these projects, and I haven't got any punch lists yet.
All right, I can get those to you. I have them.
And I was like, I don't wanna go there and go look to see, I wanna see what I'm looking at from the original punch list that we got to make sure that they're all repaired in any other punch list like.
Yeah, I thought those have already gone out to the committee, but
Yeah, if you get a chance, any of the, like at Waddington, I don't know if anybody else gonna.
So that one you have, September 13th, we sent it to you.
That's what I'm saying, but if somebody can, whichever ones are missing, I don't think I got any, Sandy, for, the window project.
That just finished, right? When, last week?
there was only one. Yeah, there was only one item. It was that one
We'll send
sash
you the one.
gasket. There was only one item left on their punch list. It was just a popped out gasket on the sash, and they fixed
They
it.
did that whole project without no issues.
Yeah, that project came out immaculate.
Waddington?
No,
Waddington
got
has-
sent you on September
Yeah,
13th.
no, I'm saying,
Yeah.
exactly, I got that one there, but the
Yep.
one that we did Silver Spring and all, the repair to the windows.
Lockheed. There was only
Yeah.
one item on it, you said.
That's from the punch list that was from the other company. They were building off of that punch list. All their repairs were coming off of the
That's what I'm saying,
previous
so
punch
they
list.
would be- So that's what I'm
They
saying.
fixed everything on the list
they
that we
went through-
had from the punch list that we have.
Right, so the original punch list that we got from both their buildings.
That's still the punch
That's-
list.
That's
Yeah.
what they followed, and that's what they're saying they corrected, so I
Corrected.
can go
Yeah.
there and use that punch list. Okay, that's what.
We haven't had final walkthrough on that yet.
Okay,
Yep.
all right.
Is there any others?
It would just be Collinswood Riverside.
Those two, Sandy.
Okay.
Just those two, yep.
So we can resend the September 13th one.
All right.
And then do you want the one from the prior window? That was March 1st.
No, I got both, and I still
All
have
right.
them, so as long as I know that's what we went off of, we can go off of that. Thank you.
Okay.
If you can just send it on that same email chain, that'd be great. That way it's all in one place. Any additional questions or comments regarding?
And I gotta just do a couple quick follow-ups, or Sandy, or Danny, a question, if you can, or Sandy, can we just research with that new truck that we're getting, if I had mentioned it, if we can change out the straight blade plow to a V plow? I don't think that's gonna be much of an issue. It may be,
We don't tend to use the V plows because the straight blade plows are a lot stronger. The V plow,
okay, no,
we were gonna get one before.
as long as that's your opinion,
Yeah.
I won't support it, but I'll just go with a straight blade plow. I totally disagree with it, especially at this high school with all these islands. There's no ways to really pile it on the island, so we have to remove it. A V plow is state-of-the-art technology to remove snow versus a straight blade in a parking lot that we have here. So if you feel that a straight blade is recommended, I'm not plowing the parking lot. If I was, then we would be going forward. But the way that this parking lot is set up with all these islands, a V plow is the ultimate way to plow. Granted, it's not as strong as a straight blade, but to do a better and a cleaner job the way that these islands are at this high school, a V plow is absolutely the way to go, Dan.
Yeah, well, we have the snow blowers and the brooms set up with the Kubotas to get in the tight areas. That's what we use those for, and along with the sidewalks. So we try to stay away from those areas, and we just come in and clean it up with either the snow blower or the broom, which makes it a little quicker. So you're not having to even go in that far with the truck itself. Then you can get a smaller machine in there.
All right, if you're comfortable with that, then Dana, that was just my opinion on that there. Thank you. And just, on the next item, Sandy, we're gonna go over, the paperwork from the building committee last night on the metal buildings and stuff?
I'll chime in. Yes,
Okay,
we are. I
okay.
did, of course, I did ask Craig last night also to kind of give us the whole overview that we discussed yesterday, just so everyone's on the same page.
Excellent,
I-
thank you.
I figured we would all like to hear it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Next up, we have the finance update.
Good evening, everyone. The budget report in front of you, it represents the end of fiscal year '24 as of November 8th. As we end fiscal year '24, there are still outstanding transactions, revenues, and expenses that will be flowing in as per our usual year-end process, which will have a result on our final end result for the fiscal year. As example, one of the things that we're waiting for is invoices from DCYF. They are notoriously late in sending the invoices. From July going on till December is when we usually get them, maybe sometimes in January. So we just got to keep an eye out for those. So it is going to be a very tight fiscal year end. We're already close, as you can see, but stay tuned for more information as the months go on. Thank you very much.
Any questions or comments? Questions for our director? Any questions or comments? Don't go too far, Craig. 'Cause the next item won't take too long.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll just go get my papers.
Okay. If there's no additional comments regarding that, next item, please.
Policy Committee report.
So I know the administration is was working on an AI policy with our previous legal. I just wanted to know if the administration is still working with the rest of the schools on creating that policy still?
Yeah,
Just as
we're
an
not,
update.
Yeah, we're not ready
Ready
to,
to- Okay.
because we had some changes that were recommended by our tech department.
I assumed. So the only thing that I have to add is whenever that's been worked through again, just include. That's the only thing. I will note, just so the community knows, almost all the other school districts around the state are also currently working on this. So it seems like everyone's kind of on the same playing field right now, just because it's so new. So I think it's proactive though to get a head start on it before any issues come up, I'm sure. Any questions or comments regarding the AI? Next item. So the building committee meeting was last night here at the cafeteria. I did ask Craig to kind of help us and go through exactly what we went over yesterday, just so we have a clear understanding of where the high school project ended at, what we discussed. I'll chime in as well. Oh, yes. High school was, only the high school building committee met yesterday, yes, to clarify. The Martin Middle School pre-K project, that is next week. So it was last week. Last week, sorry. I'm not on that one, so that's why I wasn't sure. So there are a couple of items for us tonight. Before I ask Craig to start for us, there's the, let me see, East Providence High School bond and turnover remaining bond funds to the city of East Providence. So that's all related to what we're about to discuss right now. So Craig, if you could take it away, please.
Thank you very much. Yes, so it is my pleasure and my honor to give this final report on behalf of the East Providence High School Building Project Committee. Last night we reviewed this. We reviewed the document that you had in front of you. There was a change that was made, so the document that you have in front of you was the one that was voted on for last night. We're going to start by reviewing the large handout that is on page 3 in the back of the packet. This is a capital project listing that the Building Project Committee has been working on really over the last 8 months or so. There are some remaining items. There were a couple of items that I reviewed last night with the building committee that I wanted to inform the school committee on. One of the items that was on the list from the beginning was to replace the fencing behind the administration building along Elmwood Dodge and then along the McDonald's area so that we could connect the fencing into the existing new fencing for the high school. However, we discovered during the process that along the Elmwood Dodge line, that fence actually does not belong to us. That belongs to Elmwood Dodge. Same thing with the fence on the backside. That fencing too does not belong to us. That belongs to the McDonald's and probably to Scott Motors on that other side. So in reviewing the information with the superintendent and with Danny, we decided that we were not going to pursue this matter at all. The fence does not belong to us, and therefore we did not want to move forward on that. So that action did not take place. A couple of lines down from the fencing, you see storage shed. The initial request for this building was for a 21-foot by 18-foot shed to go out in the back here of the high school to help store the many pieces of the quite large track pads that.
That's the one for the others.
No, here. No, I'm here, Danny. I'm good. I'm good. I'm just saying it was. Yep. So we had previously talked about having a 21 by 18 footer, and that was the initial plan. However, when our new director of facilities started, he was concerned about that size and feeling that the initial size that was requested was not going to adequately meet the needs for what we have. And so he came forward to request a increase to go to a 36 by 48 foot aluminum framed sheathed shed. So as we were talking about that last night, we also, there were some concerns that were brought up. We're going to need to have the electrical pieces done, probably some type of fire suppression, if that's what we need to do, garage doors, all of that. We know we need to get a foundation. We're going to need to get a concrete pad. One of the first prices that we did just to see what it was going to cost, just the padding alone to put down for that building was $56,000. The building itself, when we're looking at it online, without doing an RFP, we're going to have to do an RFP for this whole process. That was at least $22,000. So there are lots of pieces to this unit that will take place. Mr. Ferreira, I know that you said that you had some questions on this.
I just have a couple questions where this $125,000, and then last night, correct me if I'm wrong, we might have bumped that up to 100.
We did bump it up, correct. Yep.
At 100, which I'll go follow that question up later, but $150,000 project, and we have no paperwork. And my own opinion is going to be very tough to get this done. Hopefully we do at $150,000 because there's a lot of moving parts here. My only question is, why don't we have an exact anybody in the construction business gonna hand you this piece of paper / building, we're gonna do it.
So we have to do it through an RFP. So the concrete pad, as an example, that alone is going to have to be its own RFP. So I called the company that we use for the concrete pad over at RMS. I said, could you do me a favor? Take a look at these plans that we have, because the building that we were looking at online already has the specs all drawn up. Said, I need to have some type of a framework as to what I'm talking, what this is gonna cost. The $56,000 without doing an RFP, that's what he came back with. So, but that purchasing for that concrete pad for that service, that'll have to be an RFP. The building itself, that will have to be an RFP. So you're absolutely correct. You haven't seen any of the paperwork yet, because I haven't come to you for the approval in order to put that out, right? So we know that there's going to be the electrical pieces. There could be some fire suppression that needs to take place. That will also be its own RFP. This isn't something that we're going to take very lightly. You know, we have to plot it out, write it up, and bring it forward for you to review.
Happens if this, we're only,
As of now, this is what we're asking you to approve. We could come back, when the RFPs come in, they could be, all the totals could be lower, the totals could be higher. We're going to bring that forward for your review and your approval.
Can I just add, so tonight the city council voted to turn over the capital funds that are left from the bond to the school department. So if it exceeded it by some, we would ask the city if we could use the additional money for the RFP of the shed. And if it's under, then it would go into that capital account. But because we're trying to close this out so they also could close out the bond, we have to wait to go out for the RFP in order to close it out.
And we'll also add to that, the President Rodrick was also, well, he's on the committee, but he was also in attendance yesterday, and of course, it's nice that he was also there. That way he knows ahead of time, along with the rest of the city council, that these items already are, essentially tapped for that. They have advance notice in the event we have to go back to them and request additional money. So.
The newer size, or the very first time?
the very first discussion when we needed this storage building. Because there's no denying it, we need this storage building.
Yep.
My question is, when was the first time that this came up for discussion that we need this building?
That was at the outset.
What's that?
It was at the very beginning. This item was on the list.
8 months ago?
Yeah.
The difference is the size.
Yeah. Correct. Yep.
So we had a price on the smaller size, but now with East Bay Collaborative closing, we have all the science kits to store now. So what we're finding is we don't have any more storage at administration. So we originally put a smaller building on. Now that we have more things that we need to store, we switched it to the larger building before closing this out, because we have all the track mats in administration right now that are huge, that wouldn't fit in that smaller building. So that's the difference. The original small building was on the original list, and in reevaluating that as we started to close out, we realized we don't have enough storage space here at the high school or in administration for all of the things that we have right now, especially with now having science kits, all of them at elementary being stored at administration.
I started my comment by saying, I know we need the building, so thank you.
Right, no, but I'm saying the original building was on the original list.
What Exactly, what were we gonna get? So were we gonna have to run an underground service to this original size building? My question is, we get no paperwork. We just rubber stamp everything and we just approve it. I have a problem with this. Something that's 8 months old, we have no documentation saying the smaller building we had was gonna be, say if it was gonna be the $17,000. We still have no paperwork on it. We have nothing, the pad, the cost. There should be a breakdown when, and I said this before, when you come in front of the school committee and ask for taxpayers' money, why aren't we getting the original building that was 21 by 18? We need X amount of dollars because this is what it's gonna cost. My honest opinion is, and I'm not gonna apologize for this, there's no legwork done on this. We had $7 million of leftover taxpayers' money on this project, and my honest opinion is, because I haven't seen any of it, there was no legwork done on this big building or the small building. And until I see all the legwork on the small one, then I'll apologize for my comment. Because it's very simple in the world of, if we had a small building and we did all this legwork, what you do is take the square footage of the small building, divide it into your initial cost, then take the big building and times it by your initial cost you got from your small building to come up with an exact price. Where was all of that done? It wasn't done. But we're just gonna approve from 17,000 to 125,000, now to 150,000 with zero information. And then if we need more money, we're gonna go back to the capital improvement grant money that we're gonna turn back over tonight and say we're gonna jack it from that. If that's what the committee wants to do, I have no problem with that. The shameful thing is I won't support this. And I feel bad for the kids because we do need it, Danny. We looked at the storage next door. We need this building, and I'd like to see how we did a calculation to see this new building is even going to house all of this. Hopefully, we have a little room for 4 years down the road with some more growth. Because my question is, we had one facilities director that had a building that was less than half the size of this new one. Danny came up with saying that's not going to meet it by 50% or 55%. We need bigger. How is this all happening? I just get confused.
So if I may, my understanding from yesterday's meeting is that, correct me if I'm wrong, Danny, you already did some preliminary research on how much the actual item costs. We know that the doors aren't included, that you have to go to a different vendors to look for that.
Right.
Do you want to kind of get into that a little
So
bit more?
we have to get the
I know
cost-
you have done some, so.
Yeah,
feel
so
free to-
we have an initial
Yeah.
cost of the electrical around 30 grand. I talked to the fire department and they're reviewing the size of the building now to see what it needs for fire apparatus. The initial cost on here of 17.9 was just for the building itself originally, just to buy the building without any utilities or anything like that. That was previously done before me. That was just the initial cost of the building. So the 150,000 would entail going in with a pad of the bigger building, going to the bigger size, the electrical work, the doors, possible racking inside, what we need. Were we low maybe at 125? I would think so. 150 is probably a more comfortable number. It all depends, like Craig said, what your RFP numbers start coming back at. If you start trending higher, then you obviously know you're going to be in that direction. But to base at 150,000, I think you'd be pretty close in that realm.
Like I said, I just, in my world, we just do things a little different. In other words, we can't go up to homeowners, we can't go up to executives, we can't go up to CEOs and say, I think. They're going to say, well, I think you're getting out of this meeting now. Just because it's taxpayers' money, I have a problem with it.
So-
in other words, we don't even know how much the doors are going to cost. How many doors are we going to put in the building? Are we getting lights for $35,000 or $30,000 for the electric? Where's his proposal to say for $30,000, are we getting exterior lights on this building? Are we getting interior lights on? In other words, that's where I get concerned because we get a thing saying electrical at $30,000. What does that $30,000 cover?
Everything that you're talking about has to be part of an RFP. I can't bring forward a cost of a garage door.
understand
We
that.
got to do an RFP.
I understand that. We started this project 8 months ago. Even if it was for a smaller building, wouldn't we had to do this for a smaller building? An RFP?
It depends if it was. It depends on the cost. If it's under $8,000, then no. If it's above 8,000,
Well,
yes.
we know it wasn't, because I got a piece of paper saying it was 17.9, so we know it was gonna be over the $8,000. So
Right.
8 months ago, we
Right.
were gonna have to, I understand the
Right.
process.
Yep.
I just don't understand why the process isn't being followed. That's just my opinion, because the process wasn't followed for the smaller building, because if it was, we could actually say, we know what it is per square foot to build this building.
Yep.
Now we just include it on the building if we need to go 50% or 75%. That's all. Nobody's gonna win this argument, because nobody's got no paper for me. It's not a winnable argument. My statement is fact. That's how we do it in the construction world. I respect what everybody is saying. I understand what everybody is saying. I'm only saying, even for the small building that we knew we were gonna do 8 months ago, there was no legwork done on that. No RFP was done on that. No analysis per square foot was done on this project. But you're gonna look for $150,000 tonight. Thank you, and I'm done with my comments. I just had to get that off my chest, because I sat at that meeting last night, and it's just stunning what goes on with taxpayers' money without really, my opinion is no accountability, because this is no accountability. Because my next question is, what do we go after our capital improvement if we're $70,000 short in this? Because once again, the fire alarm service, if they let us hook it up to the concession stand, this is a hypothetical number, like maybe $10,000. If we have to put our own radio box in there or tie it into this high school, that's a stunning number. We have no numbers on that. This is what I'm trying to say, Craig. 150 I hope we could do it for 125. My only argument is, suppose we come in at 210, which is very capable of doing. When you start even thinking about a fire alarm, underground electrical systems, doors, and stuff like that. It's just that I wish we had a closer number to say, this is the number we have at 180, but it may reach 200. We're just throwing numbers out there based on close ideas, and I just don't like doing business like that. And I apologize if I offended you guys. It's not to offend anybody. It's just my opinion. So I will apologize if I offended anybody. It's not meant to offend. I just got to look at doing a better job when it comes to taxpayers' money, that we turn this over to the city. I just don't want to be running to them every time we say, oh, we messed up a little bit, and take more of that capital improvement money. That's
So
slated for
I
three
think that's a
important
good
items.
point, because that, I mean, that's something that was mentioned yesterday as well, which is, which is why it got bumped up from 125 to 150, because the intention was, we don't want to have to go back again and say, hey, we underestimated what the cost is. That's why that did get bumped up. The hope is that we stay within that budget, because at the end of the day, that's what we should strive to do, is to stay within that. But worst case scenario is that we have to go back to the city council again for that money that is only allocated for the school department. And we'll get into that as well towards the end. But I just wanted to mention that was heavily discussed yesterday. How much do we bump it up? And then questions of permits and additional things that may have to be added on that isn't able to be exactly estimated because we don't have an RFP. I think your issue, from what I'm understanding, is you prefer to have the RFP process done before closing this out, so that you have all that information, which that's what I'm understanding.
Right.
Like you would prefer to have the RFP and then close it out. Is that what you're
Even
saying?
if we had it for the first building that we started 8 months ago. And then, that's what I'm saying, if we had it for the first building, then I could do a quick calculation in 5 minutes and say, I feel better off if we bump it up to 180. My concern is, why wasn't all of this done for the small building based on 8 months ago? That's my only dilemma here. I just don't understand why it wasn't done on that.
Honestly, there were so many other items that we were working on and taking care of. This is the team here. So there's only so much time in a day, and so we bring forward what we can do. We go down, we check off, and we do the best that we can. Is our timing and process perfect? Sometimes no, but we try our best, and we get to the items with the rest of our daily work that we do in order to get all of this done.
And Craig, I truly respect that, and I did mention to Danny, like I said, we can go on. Like I said, when Danny wants to relocate this building, the first thing I said to Danny, throw your hands up, call Paragon, call AIG, let them come down, let them stake off this pad, just so we don't have no issues. Because I said to Danny, they said, oh, Danny, you can put it there, don't worry about it. I said, well, tell the guy that told you don't worry about it, sign the documentation. Nobody asked him, what's the setbacks? What's the easement from the property line? Where is the property line? Nobody has these answers, Craig. That's why I said Danny shouldn't be have them. This whole piece of property was probably all surveyed, satellite. They could get all that information for him probably in 15 minutes. Now, why I like to do that is because now they're liable. If we put this building up and we put this pad too close to the property line, we can't use the fence as a barrier. Fences don't have easements. Building structures that don't move. Bleachers don't have easement. That's why I mentioned it, Danny. There's a lot of legwork still to be done on this, so the project is done right. That's the only thing that I'm trying to say, Craig. In over 8 months, I don't want you guys to have to deal with both. We still pay these people to look out for this project. Because as far into this project is closed out tonight, we should have utilized them 120% for the money that we're paying them. And I mentioned that to Danny to
Absolutely.
try to help out, you know?
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Any additional questions or comments regarding that specific page? Excuse me.
One more item, Madam Chair. So just the next item is another storage shed, smaller, 18 feet by 20 feet, to live in the back of the administration building on top of an existing concrete pad that we already have there, because there's a Connex box that's going to come and live over here in the parking lot. Easier for the construction program to get all of the supplies that they have. And then just going on to page 2, as I was thinking about the night last night, and I shot the superintendent a text, and I said, I forgot, because we got so wrapped up in the discussion about the shed that I neglected to mention on page 2. So one of the items that was requested and approved last night was a composting restroom to be put out here on the baseball field. The city currently has one over at Pierce Field that they managed to secure a grant for $60,000 for that. The city planner already sent me that information for us to pursue, but I apologize that last night I forgot to mention this particular item. We got so wrapped up in the discussion about the shed that I just kind of kept on going. So right now, just depending upon, if there's a delivery fee, if there are other, we know that there's going to be some electrical items that are going to be needed for this, so there's a budgeted item of $80,000 for that. So those are the only remaining items that are left. So the total for this capital project that we have on this list is $3,254,083. Now, if I could bring you to page 2 on the handout, which is entitled the East Providence High School Outstanding Budget Items dated 11/11/24. So these were some of the outstanding budget items that were being worked on since May. Primarily, this was all the water line and mast arm footing and installation costs. Brito had finished their work. We can see there that, so the actual cost for them was approximately $356,000. They were paying them the $270. Well, we're paying them $193. We've already paid them a few other smaller invoices there. We have the police details since May, so we reimbursed the city $7,020. So, and if we bring forward the total from the capital project list that I just said, So that's $3,254,083. So that between the water line, the mast arm footing and installation, this capital project expenditure list, so that brings a total of $3,617,343. Going over to page number 1 now. As you know, the total project budget for the high school was $189,500,000. As of May 1st, when we first reviewed this, so the project paid and spent to date, less the bond placement costs, was $182,499,383. We did have some outstanding work and bills to be paid. So Peregrine Group, for their project management services, $5,925. AI3, which is primarily to do with their work that they did with Par Corporation for the water line relocation and the mast arm, $4,004. And then there was a reimbursement, there were 2 reimbursements to the school department that were still owed, and that was for $80,783. So the May 1st total of $182,499,383 plus the $90,712 for those 3 expenses that I just said, that brings us to a total spent to date and projected spent of $182,590,095. Subtract that number from the total project cost of $189,500, and that gives a remaining available balance of $6,909,905. Subtracting the outstanding budget items from page 2 for C. Brito and the capital project list, subtracting $3,617,343, that leaves a remaining balance to be transferred to the city of $3,292,562. In my opinion, this is a great story for the city to tell, a project that was on time, under budget, and still we have a decent amount of money to return to the city, which now we know in turn they are turning the funds back to us. Any questions?
Question. When do you think we're gonna get something in writing that we're gonna get this money back into our bond from the city?
They
No,
just,
but
they
this-
voted on it tonight. Voted on it. Should have something.
There,
Specific account just dedicated to the school department to have access to of this money, correct?
So
Correct.
my understanding from the city solicitor was that there was a resolution
Yep.
that was being passed, that was going to be establishing this I'm calling it a capital.
Interest-bearing account through the city.
Yep.
You know, that's based on that list that we gave them for our capital improvement projects? Because we have a tendency in the city for just snagging money.
No, we would go to that. The school committee would put forth whatever, we would present, same process. We would present whatever the project is that we wanted to do, go out for the RFP, do all that. School committee would approve, and then we would go to city council for approval on the project.
I understand the process. The question that I had was, when we did the budget meeting with the city council, they were looking for a list, what we would use this money for. One was gonna be the new roof.
Right.
Yep.
Did we, so that got trashed, so we don't gotta follow that no more.
No, they didn't allocate money for specific projects. They allocated the money back to us for us to make the decisions as to what projects we need to prioritize, and then we would just go to them for approval on the specific projects. That's our understanding after the conversations that we had.
So is it fair to say that this school committee, out of respect, they were here through the whole process. Where could they expect this money to go? Because my question was, when we were there, the city council asked for a list, and we had a list of the school roof, the intercon system. Is that the
Those
list?
are still our the number one priority is the building management system. That's the number one priority. But right now, we think that we can get some reimbursement for Rhode Island Energy. So that project right now is sitting in their hands, and we're waiting to find out how much of that could be reimbursed. So where it's a $500,000 system, we think that we'll be able to get some reimbursement on that. So that would be our number one project. We have the intercoms, which we've applied for security money for, so we're waiting to see if we got security money. So that would be the priority, and then the Oldham roof. Well, there's still the three priorities that we put forward that would still be our priorities, our top priorities.
Just for clarity, there will be an account that will hold $3.2 million that would be earmarked specifically only for school department capital improvements. And the process will be such that the administration would put forth ideas or projects of need to be passed by the school committee, and then the city council has to approve what the school committee
They
puts
have
in
to
front of them.
allocate the money for that
So-
project.
Right.
So the city will be holding $3.2 million, but will be the final authority as to how our school department can spend the money, correct?
Well,
In a sense, yes, because
Ultimately, I guess.
they're the ones
Yeah.
funding the
They know
account.
But-
I disagree with your idea to
Yeah.
spend that money and you cannot have it.
There's also a tight line with that because, again, city council should not have any say as to how the school committee and school department conduct business. So in theory, I mean, if they want to, they could, but there would be repercussions for that. And it's also not permitted by state law. So there's that. In addition to the resolution should be enough for them to be held accountable to in the event that should the majority, for example, not want to approve whatever project the school committee has already, voted to approve and move forward on. So
So,
the other, if I may add
Sorry,
also,
go right ahead.
is the reason why it also makes sense for this to be transferred over to the city's hand as well is because there's the nice thing about interest. So it'll be able to grow while it's in the city's care as well, instead of it just kind of sitting there and not doing anything. So
yeah, so if you think of it like when we did the fence at Orlo Avenue and we did the boiler at Myron J. Francis. So we did the RFP came to you, you made the award of the RFP. I, in turn, let the city council know we have made an award for the boiler at Myron J. Francis. I need to get a purchase order done for the amount of blah, blah, blah. The invoice comes in. Once the project gets completed, Danny certifies that the project is done. The invoice gets sent in, and then the invoice gets sent to the city to pay. I would envision it's going to be the same type of a process.
So it's incorrect to think that projects come before the school committee approves them, and then it's up to the city council to approve or disapprove those projects that this committee has approved already. That is incorrect.
I haven't seen the ordinance, the final ordinance.
Correct, yeah.
I can't say that.
Because the
I-
original, yeah.
I don't know exactly what the wording is of the ordinance.
It would be
They-
illegal for them to do that, Jenny?
I'm not legal counsel for the school committee, but just based on Title 16, they do not have the power to tell us on how to allocate our funds or how to prioritize our money towards.
So
So
Rick-
that
yeah.
was, if I may, that was one of the concerns that was brought, I forget by who, but several members also chimed in stating that in doing so, to making sure that it's clear to the city council that they themselves are not the ones that get to pick and choose from their list, because typically for the last 2 years, we've been sending them a list of capital improvements that the district would like to be able to, prioritize, like the boilers from last year and the roof, for example. and making sure that the committee and the administration are the ones that are making those priorities is very important to avoid any sort of political interference from the city and saying, hey, we actually only want to prioritize, the projects for, the schools in my ward, for example. So that was a concern that was brought up yesterday, and that was also heavily discussed as well. But again, that's the school committees and the districts' power to prioritize which projects they want. They should not be testing that line because Title 16 is very clear as to the powers that they do not have.
And as you all know, projects like a school roof, if we follow the proper process through RIDE and we get the approvals through RIDE, we can get reimbursed through housing aid. So the $1 million roof, I'm just pulling that out of the thin air, but we're going to get reimbursed $480,000 on that roof, and then that money will go back in to the pot of money that's in the capital revolving fund, and we can do more work.
Something else that was also mentioned yesterday by President Rodrick was the money can't be returned to taxpayers because that's not an option, and two, there is no way to, I think, from what he said, like decrease like tax percentages and stuff. Like that's not an option with the limited amount of the money that we currently have as well. So this truly is, I think, the best option for I think the school district to school committee for us to move forward is making sure that there is that nice fund there, not just staying there for capital improvements, but also increasing an amount. And my understanding from what the superintendent also shared is that doesn't mean that there's not going to be a priority to make sure that there's reimbursements as well. There's always going to be that intent to make sure that we are finding savings wherever possible, even though it is bond money. We have to take care of it, making sure that, we're prioritizing our, the upkeep of our schools, of course. Does anyone else have any questions or comments?
Timeline by which it would all need to be spent.
No, the only thing that we will have to do, if you remember, with anything to do with school construction, so once RIDE approves it, there's an MOA that the school committee signs, and then we have a certain amount of time frame from the execution date of the MOA in order to get the project done. So.
Additional questions or comments?
I think we're going to rely on you a great deal to track this money because we're going to hand it over, but you were involved with, and I was involved with, and Jess was involved with when somehow they decided to keep our reimbursement money, which was a few $1 million. I have a very good memory. So, in other words, this is school department money without a question of a doubt. We're going to get 51% reimbursement, hopefully, if the state stays at that.
That reimbursement rate, remember, that changes from year to year. A lot of the factors, it depends upon free and reduced lunch.
Yes.
So parents, it's never too late. www.myschoolapps.com. So that it's really important, right? We can help families, but families can help us.
Yep.
That it's two ways.
So we could turn this into in the range of $5 million if everybody filled, which is a great thing for this community, especially where we could add it to our other buildings. The question would be is just to make sure that we get it back, Craig.
Sure.
I think that's due to the fact that we had the same situation about 6 years ago, and then at some point they were getting the reimbursement and it wasn't coming back to us. Because remember, all the checks go, to the city. So when we get that 51, hopefully it's 51%. So we're going to get our 3.3 million back. Plus, after we spend it, RIDE would give us 51% reimbursement. That check goes back to the city, and somehow back in the day, somebody got sticky fingers and forgot to let it go back to us, and then we came up with an arrangement to get reimbursed over 3 years or something. So that's why I'm leery about.
And just so I can clarify, because I know you remember things. So our current rate of reimbursement, I think, is like 48.1. So next year, we don't know what it's going to be, so it's not the 50,
Well, they're gonna send us
50%.
all the paper.
I just
Free
want
money
you
for
to,
them to fill that application, as long as we keep.
if it drops down to 42, I know you'd be saying, Craig, how
Yes.
come? So,
Yep.
yeah.
But it's a great thing for the community. We need this money, and it's just something that we can keep growing on. As long as we
Yep.
get it back, that's the big
Yep.
issue. So I want to thank you for many years of dealing with this situation.
So it's all good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Additional questions or comments? I just want to reiterate again from what we discussed yesterday. Again, big thank you to the building committee that dedicated so many countless hours, weekly, monthly basis. Very much appreciated for the hard work and dedication by both of our superintendents that guided those projects. Our previous chair, Joel Montero, Nate Cahoon, that also helped guide it. Manny Benatero, big shout out to him as well. He's retired. He doesn't need to come back and help us out, but he does.
This
So,
is,
it's
this
really
is,
awesome.
this is a great story. The city should celebrate this. It's great work by everyone. Thank you.
Thank you again.
That was all volunteered by them guys.
Yes,
That's
for
very important
for
to that,
those that are
yes.
listening, it's volunteer work that people in administration work longer hours. People like our principals, people like our our IT director, our director of finance, director of facilities. They work additional hours to make sure that these projects get completed well. So it's like Tony said, it's all volunteer work. So greatly fortunate to be, in a community that we have talented people to volunteer. A lot of schools in other cities and towns are not as fortunate, and they've, run into a lot more hurdles than we have. So we're, again, very fortunate. Next item, please.
Discussion items?
So we have the 2025 school committee meeting schedule not proposed, in our packets for tonight. I know we typically don't really have a, full-on discussion item, but I felt seeing that last year or this year, we ran into a couple of hiccups. I wanted to just kind of run by the, dates and make sure that I got to hear everyone else out. If there's any conflicts, I see Valentine's Day is not on here anymore, which is a relief.
Do you want the councilman to talk? Anyone, are we all good? We're good?
Sure, that's
We're
fine.
good? We don't need them? We're all set, Rick.
Are there any issues with any of these dates here? Any proposals to edit any of these? Leave it up to the three that will be here next year. Of course, once these are approved, these are sent up to the Secretary of State. So.
Deadline that we have to send this in because we're,
January 1st? January 1st is the deadline. So that's why we have to be the ones that, kind of talk about it. But our legal did let us know today, though, that should there be any, revisions or anything like that the following year, that can be revised. But, of course, it would have to come before the committee again, for discussion and a motion. As an action item, and a revised, list of meetings would be sent up to the Secretary of State as well, should that be required. But I figured it doesn't hurt to discuss it now in the event that any of these don't work for the three of you guys now. Any issues, guys? Good for now? Okay. Next item, please.
Public comments?
Next item, please.
Action items?
First, we have a consider and vote to approve the proposed Prac and Martin settlement. Is there a motion? Is there a second? I'll second. All that say aye? Aye. Are there any nays? Approved. Tony did the first motion and Ryan did the second. Next, we have consider and vote to approve the Martin Middle School trip to Boston in May 2025. Are there any questions or comments regarding that? If not, I'll entertain a motion. Just so the public knows, that information was already included in our packets. Are there any motions? Is there a second? All that say aye? Aye. Approved. Are there any nays? Next, we have a consider and vote to approve the 2025 school committee meeting schedule. Is there a second?
Second.
Let's say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Are there any nays? Have that, Sharon? Next, we have a consider and vote to approve the award of the Faro scanner RFP. That was also included in our packets, but is there anything else you'd like to add, Craig? Are there any questions or comments from the committee regarding the scanner?
Research, this is an unknown item to me. In preparation for this meeting, I did look into this, and after some online research, some conversations with administration, this scanner, and Dr. Friend, please correct me or jump in, is a piece of equipment that will be used under the guidance of Mr. Hanlon for CTC programming.
It's for the CTC, yes. Our pre-engineering program. Steve Bornhoff is the instructor. It's funded through the Perkins grant.
I guess this is a question, Dr. Friend. How much money was eligible, how much money was in the Perkins grant and how much remains after this?
I think it was carryover money, correct, Craig? And it was about 100 and, was it 11 or 18? Somewhere, I don't know the exact number, but just over $100,000, maybe 120. I can. Has to be spent in a certain way.
Yeah, and I do know that the budget he had put when he developed his budget, he budgeted $55,000 was set aside for it.
Yeah, I think that with it being grant funded, budgeted, and under the guidance of leadership as such, this could be the type of these are the types of pieces of equipment that are able to continue to allow for high quality educational opportunities. And so with that, I make a motion to approve. I can just
clarify too. It's 111,111, and it's from the 2025 Program Equipment Fund for Career and Technical Centers.
I'll second.
All that say aye?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Are there any nays? Next, we have a consider and vote to approve the 2024 to 2027 Custodians Collective Bargaining Agreement. Is there a motion?
I also just want to make a comment on this as well as being part of the team at the table. I felt like this was a really great opportunity for administration and that union to come together in a really, the process seemed to go rather well. And I feel as if, all parties at that table are very pleased with the outcome. And if there's no other comments, I'd make a motion to approve this.
Is there a second? I'll second. All that say aye? Aye. Approved. Are there any nays? Next, we have a consider and vote to approve the East Providence High School remaining project activities. Just to clarify, that is what we discussed already earlier tonight, right?
Yes. I'm sorry, I didn't know you were
Just
talking.
so, I know we talked about different items today, but,
Most of it had been pre-approved, but it was
Yeah.
updated with the few items that were discussed
so
tonight.
that's the last two big pages in our packets. That's what's up for a approval, so I'll entertain a motion.
Well, I guess, I appreciate and agree with Mr. Ferrer's sentiment in wanting to ensure that funds, especially taxpayer dollars, are being properly managed and spent. And in order to do so, having the largest amount of detail for all purchases is critical. However, I feel like these are items that even Mr. Ferrer does agree is of high need, right, to continue to move us forward. Yes, it would be great to have $150,000 worth of itemized costs for a storage shed. However, as I agree with Mr. Ferreira, we know that we need this size of a storage shed. And so, I mean, with that, I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second? All that say aye?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Are there any nays? Next item, we have a consider and vote to close out the East Providence High School bond and turn over remaining bond funds to the city of East Providence. If there are any questions or comments, the floor is open. If not, I'll entertain a motion. Sure.
Craig, or say, possible if we can get some. Get a letter to the whole council saying that the money is secure, how it's going to get back to you. Thank you.
Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All that say aye?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Is there a nay? Next item. Are there any announcements from any of the committee members?
I just wanted to take a moment, if I could, briefly, and I just wanted to share my appreciation to Jenny and Max, for spending this time together on this committee. And I know you will no longer be on this committee. Still another meeting to go, but your service is not underlooked from this end of the table, and appreciate the time that we've spent together and the work that we've done. Max, moving forward, good luck with wherever you're going, because it's places. And Jenny, I look forward to continuing to work with you as well. Additionally, I wanted to just share some congratulations to Jess and to Tony for staying on this committee. And, you know, lastly, and they're in the audience, I just wanted to share my congratulations to David and Tony as well. You know, looking forward to working together, you know, in the next couple of months.
Good. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All that say aye? Aye.